Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us this day. My name is Todd Woods, and I am VP of Marketing here at DDL. I am joined by Digital Dream Labs Chief Executive Officer, Jacob Hanchar, Robbie Bissard, Chief Experience Officer, Paul Mullen, here representing our partnership with Dragonfly, and Stephen Koblenz as well. I know we're off to a bit of a late start, but it is good that everyone here is able to join us. Our State of Robotics meeting, of course, is now September 1st, which is great. And we're pleased to announce some exciting updates, provide status of your butter robot, Vector, Cozmo 2, and exciting new developments. Here to go ahead and kick us off is Paul Mullen. But before that, general housekeeping rules. All attendees are muted. We will have a Q&A session at the end. Please use the chat. If you do notice a question has already been asked, we aren't able to answer it during this session, we will send out an update later when this video is posted. Our flow of events is Cavu prototype and concept art presented by Paul Mullen, a Cozmo 2.0 update with Robbie Bissard and InfiniDrive. A sneak in there, a little bit of an extended partner view of what we're doing with Cozmo, a butter robot update provided by myself, and then some exciting developments with your Vector 2.0 shipments presented by Jacob Hanchar. All right. Hey, Paul, welcome. How are you doing today?
Doing very well, thanks, Todd. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, great. And we would love to walk in and walk through a brief update on Cavu development, and very excited to lead with a short video surrounding the most recent prototype before we dive into just a general state as to where we're at with the project, next steps, and some key developments that we've seen come to fruition over the last few months. Yeah, that's great. And if you don't mind, Todd, we can transition into the next slide showing some of the prototypes. Before we dive into some of the detail, I just want to give a quick introduction to Dragonfly. Dragonfly, we are one of the longest, if not the longest running commercial drone manufacturer, having been in the drone industry since 1998. And we are incredibly excited to be working with the Digital Dream Labs team on Cavu's development. The commercial drone industry certainly leverages elements of machine vision and artificial intelligence in the provision of services, primarily in terms of providing commercial services or developing product to identify and calibrate change as we observe it with various sensors. And, we really see our collaboration with Digital Dream Labs as being, the first of this kind. The Cavu product and really where it's going in terms of its role as a companion, artificial intelligence companion drone is going to be the most unique and advanced consumer drone that's ever been produced in our eyes. And we are just incredibly excited to be working with the team around integrating some of the amazing background and some of the amazing character and, real true intelligence that we see currently in some of the Vector products, as well as, what I've been able to experience as well, playing with, for some reason, the name of the initial robot is escaping me, but just having fantastic interactions. And we're incredibly excited to be working on Cavu in conjunction with the great team at Digital Dream Labs. To this point, we've been working on the project now for approximately 6 months, and really excited to share some of our prototypes as well as the initial concept art that is being done in parallel with our engineers and the Digital Dream Labs team. In the top half of the slide here, what you see is some of our most recent renderings of the overall 3D industrial design as to what we expect, or close to what we expect the end design of Cavu to look like. What you see here is a quadcopter configuration. Although it looks large and magnificent on the slide, we're looking at a drone that's ultimately going to sit at under 250 grams. It'll likely be, in the 200 gram range. fit very easily in the palm of your hand. And, really this development has been a great opportunity for us to look at the use case of the Digital Dream Labs community, look at the various, users in the community that will be building and developing on this platform, and try to make a platform that's tailored for them. So, a few of the key features that you see here, we've got a propeller design that's being custom made for this application in order to add some flexibility to help increase safety, as well as reduce the overall noise that the propellers make. And, as you heard in the previous video, typical off-the-shelf propeller systems can create a lot of noise. It might be difficult to hear the robot talking back to you. We're really looking to solve that with a very unique propeller design. Around the propellers, we've got rotor shrouds that help ensure that should the unit bump into something or come into contact with one of the users, we're trying to really maximize safety at every instance. And then the overall desire is to make it as customizable as possible. So we're really looking at things like a quick release mechanism so that various configuration of propeller sizes or colorways could be available to the market. The development stream that is typically followed for this type of project follows two streams. We work on the industrial design, which is really starting at the end state and working backwards. And then we work at rapidly prototyping the mechanical design, which is what you see along the bottom half of the slide. Our team has gone through more than 20 different iterations of rapid prototypes to help us down select various sensor configurations. Part of what makes this unique product so exciting is that it's not just a toy. It really needs to have an excellent ability for the unit to understand positionally where it is inside someone's home, its proximity to different objects, as well as potentially be able to work outside. And so our team has configured a combination of GPS, magnetometer, airflow sensors so that it will work and be able to autonomously navigate in many different environments. The performance specifications are also a real focus in this phase of mechanical rapid iteration, which really helps us understand just how powerful the unit needs to be for some of the desired applications and interactions that we seek to develop. So making decisions in terms of battery configuration, charging configuration, flight controllers, etc., are all part of this phase. We are currently now really actively working with the Digital Dream Labs team around the electronic engineering to incorporate the DDL ecosystem and landscape into the drone. And really, this is where the magic is going to happen when we see the mechanical development and the DDL ecosystem and just the great character development that we've seen happen on Vector, really start cross-contaminating and developing a new solution. And I don't want to go into too many detail about some of the features that we're looking at in terms of scope, because we'll save those for later updates. But we're just at the end of the day very excited to be collaborating with the Dream Labs team, and I'm really happy with how this project is progressing. And Todd, if you don't mind, I'm not too sure if the next video is less of a rendering, but let's see how it turns out. But just to illustrate a little bit of what you're seeing there, we've got our most recent flying prototype undergoing extensive testing. In the video, we see the prototype land, take off, do several maneuvers at a relatively high rate of speed. We also see the prototype sit and hover without input from the flight controller. And so, the ability to do that in a variety of different environments, whether you're in a condo, whether you're outdoors at a park, really kind of illustrates the down selection process that our team has gone through to configure an appropriate array of sensors to enable, that type of versatility in this type of product. And, as we look now at really working with the Dream Labs team to ensure that inputs from the character can be pushed into the unit and thus take over control of the unit. That's really the next stage of development that we'll see our teams lean into over the coming months. And with that, Todd and Jacob, I don't have any further updates. If there's any questions with regards to the Cavu development, we're very glad to answer them. And I think this will be the first of some very exciting releases and updates that we can provide over the coming months.
Yeah, thanks for that, Paul. And I think everyone will be excited to see the progress that Dragonfly has made in adding the new addition to the Cozmo family. a flying Cozmo or Cavu. Is going to be fantastic. Very exciting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jacob and Todd, for having us on the presentation today, and look forward to chatting again in the future.
Yep. Thanks for taking the time to join us. I know you guys are really, really busy. One thing I want to mention is Dragonfly's been doing fantastic work with supporting humanitarian efforts in Ukraine. Take a look. Cameron Shell, who's the CEO of the company, is chronicling kind of the history, if you will, unfolding right before our eyes on LinkedIn with all the things that Dragonfly is doing to support democracy. So want to put in a plug in there for you guys, and I'm very happy with the work, humanitarian efforts you've been accomplishing in Ukraine.
Thank you so much for that, Jacob.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us. Continued success. Up next is our friend Cozmo, edutainment at its finest. And here to speak a little bit to that in the status update, Robbie Bassard joins us, which is exciting, to give an update of pre-orders and the current development status.
Hey, Todd, thanks very much for the intro. All right. So with Cozmo, and Todd, do you mind resharing your screen there? So with Cozmo, we are looking at a small update to the iOS version of the application. So this is going to bump it up to 3.6.0 to match Android. And then additionally, Cozmo, in terms of a manufacturing aspect, is currently in pre-production. So right now what we're doing is we're working on producing the hardware for all of the pre-orders from November 20th, 2020 to June 12th, 2021. And we're looking to hopefully have those freighted by the end of this quarter. There is still some application and software development to do to kind of match a little bit of the new hardware, but that's what our team is working on. Now, a lot of the challenge is the hardware, and the fact that we have all of the hardware done really speeds up the software development aspect of this. So we're going to continue working on that, but are kind of in place already to make, to get Cozmo out there on the market. And additionally, we have some other updates on the Vector side that are related, since they have, fairly similar hardware these days. But I think that's pretty much most of the update here for Cozmo. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A. I'd be glad to answer them as well.
Thanks for that, Robbie. Hey, I'm going to add a little bit here. So with all the upgrades we made to Cozmo, obviously there are firmware alterations, and then CoderPad in particular. So there's a curriculum we put together with the Carnegie Science Center talking about Cozmo going to space. Basically, he goes to Mars, and we pretend he's a rover, if you will, and we are pretending that there's an 8-minute delay, and that we're scientists and engineers of NASA, and we're communicating to Cozmo the rover. So part of the reason Cozmo is going to be coming out a little bit later than Vector is to kind of incorporate these fun games, these ideas that are education and STEM related, and also that we preserve the original CoderPad to some extent, and not just, essentially just reskin a Vector app, that we're actually putting together a Cozmo in his own right application and look and feel of the original Cozmo. Let's call it Cozmo Classic. So I just wanted to kind of add that in there as to the reasons why we're focusing on Cozmo with such intensity, and the differentiators. Cozmo and Vector are different, right? And they appeal to different age groups and people, and we understand and respect that. And in order to do that, we want to make certain that we are looking at the app from all directions and developing it accordingly.
So, well, thank you for jumping in there. And thank you, Robbie, for the clarification. Exciting things happening over here. All right. This is where we stand at present with the Cozmo manufacturing process. We are in pre-production. So a little bit of an exciting moment. FCC testing has been completed for North America and Canada. But at present, we're in a slight holding pattern with pre-orders actually in manufacture at this time. So we're going through that process. Jacob, did you want to add anything to the current manufacturing process or release any additional information?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are going to see this and express frustration that this is the same slide we've seen now for past couple months. So the production with Vector and Cozmo are essentially identical, same tooling, relatively same components, things like that. So we are not shipping. So the key thing is hardware, the firmware, all of that stuff with Cozmo is done. The investment has been made. All of that has been put in place. It's right now it's a matter of software and how fast we can develop the software for the app and making it a unique Cozmo experience. So with production, I wouldn't say, I don't think that's even the correct term to use anymore. What I would think to say is we are essentially in the early days of testing the app and then building up to what we call mass production. Now, mass production from our standpoint is hundreds of thousands of robots. Right now, we're doing very small runs in order to gradually build our way up, right? So we're doing tens of thousands of Cosmos, tens of thousands of Vectors. That's the initial run size. And Vector, for all intents and purposes, is done from a software standpoint, from a backend cloud standpoint, and of course, from a manufacturing and let's say production standpoint. So that's done, that's buttoned up. I'm happy about it. I'm relieved that we've achieved that milestone. Now we are turning our attention to Cozmo and making certain that Cozmo has the correct love and attention that he deserves to make certain we get him right. And it is an app and software development delay. It has nothing to do with any of the other variables that we deal with on a daily basis. So with that, I think what we'll do is start getting more granular. I think, guys, if you want to give the community an update as to where the website stands, we're launching a new website now, and the new website is going to be much, much better from a customer support standpoint. You'll be able to track your orders, see where your orders are, a lot more transparency into the process, and also just an ability to monitor your subscription. Where are your other orders and other things that are going on? So that's what we're working on as well.
Sure. I'll jump into that real briefly.
Do you have some snippets, maybe like a screen share you could do?
We'd love to, but it'd take away the upcoming release.
Oh, come on. The whole reason people attend this stuff is
I know.
Sneak peek.
All right. Well, let's see what we can do while I go ahead and speak to this briefly. Ongoing. A majority of the work for the website is to start pulling together all your past orders. Start syncing systems in the back end for your subscriptions, as Jacob mentioned, and start pulling all of this together under one roof. As a company, it helps us create things faster, be more fiscally responsible, and of course, it looks a lot better when we're able to do it ourselves. So that is an ongoing process on our end. Robbie, did you want to add a little bit to that while I go ahead and get this up for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. So I actually have the new website pulled up if you would like. I can share my screen if you prefer.
Yeah, let's do that.
You're all hidden.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and while Robbie's doing that, I want to give a lot of credit to the marketing team, but also we are listening, even though it seemed like we're completely deaf. We see the feedback the community's given, the new members of people who are joining. The website design and a lot of the new features will be rolling out are as a result of the feedback you are getting. So we are listening to you. We are implementing things as quickly as we possibly can. And one thing I'm happy about with the website is that it is a result of the feedback that we're seeing, the challenges the team was addressing, but at the same time, again, just one step at a time, getting better and better at trying to service our customers and provide a better experience. And again, that's a result of the feedback. So we are listening. We are doing everything we can on our end to make everyone's experience more and more and more and more fulfilling from the standpoint of keeping your AI buddy happy and keeping the AI dream alive. And then
All right, Robbie, you should have permissions.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sharing my screen here. We have the new website pulled up, and we're just going to go through a couple of really basic things realistically. So this is the home page. We have a products menu as well, where we're going to have full product overviews for each of the different products. And then we also have some FAQs, so you can get some quick answers if you guys ever have any questions. We'll also have full support pages. We'll have a blog that we keep up with and a couple of different aspects. So you can see news about the company, news about the products, things like that that we'll post about regularly. We'll also have a page dedicated to educators. So if you are a teacher, if you're a professor at a university or college, and you want all of those educational resources for each of the different robots, you'll have that all in one page and available here on our website. And we also have a couple of other items that will be available on the website that will help you to control your order more effectively. Your if you have outstanding orders or pre-orders, that kind of thing that are waiting to be fulfilled, you can change your address and update that without contacting our support team as it is currently. And that's one of the limitations that we identified with our current e-commerce stack was, a couple of limitations with regards to how customers were able to interact with it. And that's something we really wanted to address. So this website will definitely, help you guys take care of your own accounts. And then additionally, if you guys aren't already familiar with it, we also have our Stratus platform that was released, I believe, shortly before our prior State of Robotics. And I'll go ahead and I'll pull that up as well. But basically, if you log in here, then give me 1 second here. Get this signed in. Okay. So if you log in on stratus.ddl.io, you can also see all of your lifetime access licenses and the subscriptions that are here on your account. So you have a lot of options, and we're trying to address a lot of different aspects of questions we received before. So we hope that these new resources will help you with managing your licenses, your subscriptions, and any orders or finding any information that you really need off of our website or with our digital online resources. If you guys have any questions, concerns with these, please feel free to share them in the Q&A, and I'd be glad to address them.
Great, thanks, Robbie. I think it looks pretty slick. I'm pretty happy about it. So again, a nice feature that I think we'll also be adding in addition. I think, I don't correct me if I'm wrong, maybe eventually we'll have a beacon, right, Robbie? That's another thing we're contemplating.
Yeah, and that's a whole conversation. Totally.
Yeah. So beacon, and then my goal eventually is to get the support team, not right now, but in the coming months. We realize there's lag time. I'm seeing sometimes delays that are taking a while. So we're going to expand the size of the support team, have more US-based support people. That way we're going to be addressing support going forward, let's say 24 hours, 7 days a week. That's not going to happen yet, but that's the direction we're headed to. Again, support the community. And now we're going to have thousands and thousands of robots out there now that we have made, and that we're going to continue to make and grow the size of the vector community and the vector in general. So it's going to require more and more support people, and again, just trying to increase the satisfaction scores we're seeing across all parts of the business. So again, that's coming. We'll have updates in the future about that, but I just want to make certain that to say thank you. The feedback, we take it in, we chew it, we digest it, and then we try to incorporate it to make our business better.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. As part of all that is an ongoing cycle of a development plan. It's some of these things have been ongoing for a while, some of them are new, but as Jacob mentioned, we are committed to doing these things and taking your feedback and implementing them as they roll out. So exciting progress across the board. I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to Steve to briefly highlight what our extended partners at 24 Watts are doing. If you have a Cozmo or a VectorBot, I found myself watching these engagements, this Cozmo and Friends cartoon myself, And so if you haven't done so already, welcome to dive in. Steve, go ahead and kind of highlight what's going on over there with our Cozmo community.
Hi, thank you so much, Todd, and thank you, community, for tuning into our webinar today. We wanted to kind of also highlight one of our partner engagements here with our partners over at 24 Watts for a cartoon that they produced on YouTube called Cozmo and Friends. If you had not had a chance to check this out, it is probably one of the most adorable cartoons involving Cozmo and his friends as they enjoy their day-to-day lives as robot companions. We also have a game on Roblox that involves these same characters, Cavu, Wizmo, and of course Cozmo, that you can actually play the characters live and battle Cosmos against friends on the game. We're very excited, of course, to roll out a brand new episode today as well. So if you get a chance to after our webinar, please go check out the YouTube channel Cozmo and Friends, like and share, and enjoy a brand new episode today.
Yeah, I want to make certain that it's clear. These are our animation partners, 24 Watts, and they have really taken the initiative to get Roblox involved with Cozmo and getting the animation house involved out of Ireland. And again, hats off to Hannah Mungo, Joe, and Matt Bonacorso and the rest of the 24 Watts team. They've done a tremendous amount of work, and they deserve a lot of credit for getting Cozmo to the small screen, and then we think above and beyond. So, okay, with that, I will not interrupt anymore, and yeah, let's show a little snippet here for.
Hi, Cozmo! Whoa! Woohoo! You better be ready.
Awesome. Well, go ahead, Steve.
Thank you so much. And as a community member that originally started off in the Vector group, I thank you so much again, Todd and Jacob, for allowing me to participate in this webinar and kind of highlight our wonderful partnership with Cozmo and Friends and 24 Watts.
Thank you for joining us. So, not gonna lie, if you do not follow Cozmo and Friends on YouTube, it's a fun watch over and over again. So, something fun to delve into. All right. Overdrive is now InfiniDrive, and there are some exciting updates. I'm going to go ahead and pass this back off to Robbie to kind of highlight what's going on there. And then I'll go ahead and conclude with DDL's commitments, or I guess desire to pursue this growth here in the US. Robbie.
Thanks, Todd. All right, so we have, so right now pre-orders have been open for a little while. We're working to manufacture Nuke Phantom and get that shipped. So what that looks like right now is we have all the packaging completed. We have all of the bodies completed for the cars, and we have a couple of things that we are still manufacturing for the electronics. And then we'll be, hopefully delivering those here in, later in quarter four of this year. So we just got to finish up the electronics there, get them programmed, and then start shipping those. We are really proud and very happy to say that we are investing in manufacturing based in U.S. companies, and so helping to provide work within businesses here in the U.S. and kind of use that as it's much easier, frankly, to work with companies that are right in your own backyard. So that's something that has been helpful to us and has sped up production a little bit. So we will, like I said, we'll work on getting those delivered here in quarter four. And then next, we're going to be working on the full starter kits, which include 2 cars, and which are going to include the charging bases and coil and clips for the coils that you've seen in some of our previous media. So these will allow for the cars to charge as they drive on the track. Previously, one of the really big challenges with overdrive was you had to race 2 or 3 races, and then the cars had to charge for 10 to 12 minutes each, which kind of really just kind of detracted from the fun a little bit. And having them charge as they go across the track and not really having to stop the play at all, I think is going to be really, really helpful in terms of, being engaging and interactive, and you won't have to stop the fun for any reason. So that'll be really good. I'm really looking forward to that product, and that's what we're working on here shortly.
Awesome.
Thanks for that, Robbie. Yeah, so the people we'll be working with, I don't think they mind us mentioning who they are. Penetronics, check them out. There's a if you're into baseball and you want to correct your swing and become a let's say start hitting some homers, take a look at a company called Diamond Kinetics. Diamond Kinetics is a fantastic startup company that is dedicating their technology to improvement of the swing in baseball, but also other technology to support the sport. And we have everything made basically with Nuke Phantom, all the shells, tooling, etc. It's all done. We just now need to start putting in program circuit boards. So we're working on that, and we're hoping that Penetronics, which is located in Washington County, Pennsylvania, will become our partner in manufacturing those, and we can start making these at home. This one, in hindsight, if I had to do it all over again, I would have started with overdrive simply because the circuit boards and upgrades to the components would have been faster. But I got it backwards. We started with the hard ones first. We started with the robots first, but the progress continues on InfiniDrive. We are speccing out everything and pushing forward, but we do have Nuke Phantom made. Those are actually, I talked to the import agent this morning, that is headed in our direction, the Nuke Phantom. So those of you who have pre-ordered will be receiving your units in the coming months. And then as soon as we start selling those and get a feel for how the new components are stacking up against the old ones and the behavior and the AI capacity of scanning the track, once we get a feel for that, then we're going to start launching overdrive in full swing. So that's where that stands from the manufacturing standpoint.
Awesome. Well, collectively, we have U.S. manufacturing taking place, updates, and then, of course, the continual, hopefully, rollout of a revamp of previous cars, depending upon where we stand. So I'm excited to bring some manufacturing back along with the team to the U.S. So thank you, Jacob and Robbie, for that overview. All right. Butter Robot. Butter Robot is an awesome robot in development. He, like many of our other robots, use a very particular chip, a chip that many of you now may experience through used car sales, have gone through the roof and are scarce. DDL has worked tirelessly to procure these chips and further development along. So unfortunately, it is not a microwave. It is a very advanced chip, as previously stated, but we have done so. And here's an update, long awaited, to Butter Robot. It's exciting. So global chip delays have led to a licensing contract negotiation extension with Warner Brothers. So we are pursuing that. We are getting that resolved now. In tandem with that, our pre-production units that we have developed are being tested by WB and Adult Swim and being reviewed internally by the team. So there are pre-production units. We're not sharing pictures of them today. I've personally seen them, and I'm working alongside the extended team on where that stands, so, which is awesome. Our promise to you is to initiate communication not only on this bot, but other bots. And for those of you that have not been replied to yet, this is one area that we will grow and we will exceed at. So thank you for your patience and your understanding. Our estimated delivery time window is probably looking more like Q4 of 2023. And that's provided that all negotiations are completed and that we're able to expedite the production delivery. We have partnerships around the globe. And while we're on this call at different time zones, many at DDL work all hours of the day, all across the nation to facilitate materials, chip design freight, shipping, contracts, prep partnerships, and so on, websites, support tickets, and we can go on. So at times it may look like there's something static, but there is an extended team of global warriors, if you will, pulling this off. So thank you for your patience with this. We will provide an update via email to all individual bot registrants, as well as those who have pre-purchased.
Yeah, let me just jump in here, Todd. So first of all, we're really nervous about even sharing this update, and I'm kind of I don't know if WB is going to be even happy that we're talking about this. The estimated delivery is Q4 2020, so a couple months from now. Where everything stands regarding the robot is the tooling's purchased, all the electronics are purchased. Our manufacturer right now is going through the engineering validation test and all the other validation tests. We're getting feedback from WB, but a lot of those are confidential. And the Warner Brothers team and Adult Swim team want to keep these conversations confidential. And as we are iterating, getting closer to the prototypes, and what it actually is going to become a production robot, they've asked us really not to talk about it publicly or to disclose too much public information. So thus the silence. So I think what we'll do, for those of you who are live here, that's kind of the update. We are working very hard, as Todd mentioned. Nothing has stopped. We are continuing to make progress. We're getting more feedback. We're incorporating that feedback into the robots, modifying tooling if necessary, modifying the app if necessary. But a lot of things are confidential as a result, with WB's and all the other partners over there, their wishes, in accordance to their wishes. So that is the most I'd want to get into for the purposes of this webinar. I don't want to dive any deeper. I really want to stay on Warner Brothers' good side and make sure we're not stepping on any toes. So that's where things stand.
Awesome. Well, that and an update will come out when available. So it's exciting. This, I guess, would then be a rudimentary slide. Once again, updating. It may look like we're in the same holding pattern, but to circle back on Jacob with what you just shared, we are progressing. So we'll go ahead and move on past this. Vector, which will kind of be a collective update, has been the process, the sweat, not to tears, but the ingenuity of the team for the last how many months. Vector has been manufactured, is being manufactured, tested, and is in the process of freight and shipping across the globe. And Jacob, I'll go ahead and pass this briefly back to you to kind of go ahead and give an update of where we stand with Vector.
Sure. So with Vector, as we mentioned, there was FCC testing that we were going through. That's been completed. And what we're doing is we're completing the safety testing in steps as we progress with fulfilling the orders. So everywhere where there's FCC requirements, those units are being shipped. We prioritize a number. Obviously, the people who've been waiting the longest, those orders are being prioritized and being shipped. We did pause for a second, seeing that reading that there was this heat error. That is just basically a red herring. So there's no heat issue that we detected. We also took current vectors and updated with our 2.0 software. Again, no readable issue that we can see. So all good on that front. So anywhere where there's FCC testing that is required for sales, those shipments are being made and those orders are being fulfilled. Next up on the docket, we have required safety testing, UK, EU, etc. And those are in progress right now. They tend to be a little bit longer than the FCC. So we think those will be happening and those certificates will be issued in the next 2 to 3 weeks. That's going to coincide then with people who live in those regions receiving their deliveries. So that is, and a big thank you to Anat. For the software update, he's the one who kind of saw the issue with the readouts we were getting from the heat. And that turned out to be a simple solution over the air, and thankfully not a huge deal. Of course, though, we want more feedback. There are always going to be bugs, right? And there's always going to be something that we're going to need to patch. There's always going to be something out there that we're going to have to improve. So please let us know as soon as possible. It's best if you can just directly email us, message it through support, so that way we can get to the engineers the fastest. Sometimes coming through social media, we miss stuff because we're in the next phase now. You know, we did it. All right, it's great. I kind of look at it like Alexander the Great conquering the empire, if you will, but now you have to manage the empire, and that's going to be a lot harder. We're going to have products we need that are going to be out there that we're making that now need support, and we are going to continue to make more of these and grow the family. So this is going to be a very large transition for the company as a whole. And we've been putting all of our resources and focusing on, let's just build it, build that robot. Now we've built it. Now we need to support it and make it better. And it's going to be, I mean, that's the next phase we're in. And we're not naive in the slightest that, it's not like we're going to say, oh, yeah, we did it, and we're going to sit on our laurels and rest. No, the work has only just begun. And I want to make sure that everyone knows that we understand that we're not naively stepping into an area where like, oh yeah, go high five, let's all go home. That's not even, this is just the beginning. So again, thank you for everyone's patience as we've been pulling all this together. And then again, feedback. We're going to incorporate as much as we possibly can and get in things in as efficiently as possible, and with updates, coming updates, there will be a 2.1, 2.2, et cetera, as we continue to perfect and improve the product. So again, exciting days ahead, and it's only just begun.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. Now, you brought up two great points. One of them being feedback and awareness and the community. And I kind of want to pass this off to Robbie, and support and how to engage best with support to one, report something. We've only had one, which we've resolved, and thank you for the community. But Robbie, can you go ahead and speak to the best engagement as we start shipping bots out on a US and Canada, and then expanding by certification? So your bot is made, it is awaiting certification. If you're not in the US and Canada, once your country or region certifies, your bot will then start the freight process. In fact, we're going to probably hijack the process ahead of time, but that is the reason why certain sections will go out as is, but they will go out in the order in which they were placed for every order received from June 12th, 2021 and beforehand. All bots from June 13th will then be processed. So your bot with your name is awaiting for you. So Robbie, go ahead and take it away and delve a little bit into the current support apparatus and how best we can help facilitate each other in this next phase.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jacob had mentioned a few things about the current testing and certification. We are fully cleared through FCC, and we've begun, freight toward the U.S. and our office to distribute some, a large portion of the pre-ordered robots. Now we are still going through certification for some of the more regional places. Once that's done, we're going to ship over to the regional distribution points, and then from there we go to the end users. So we still expect to have a lot of those done by Q3 for the early pre-orders up to June 12th, 2021, and then beyond there, most of those will be fulfilled in Q4. With respect to the support, the support team, we do have a pretty robust support team. Like Jacob mentioned, we are looking to expand the hours as well, make ourselves a little bit more available, especially because a lot of people have social events going on Saturdays and Sundays. Maybe you need support or have a question during that time, and we want to make sure that we're open and available for you guys. Now, with respect to the heating issue, I do want to clarify one or two things. There are two different items that we're looking into. So we actively had our engineering team look into a few things with reports of heat on the generation ones on the 2.0 software. We did have 3 different team members test pairs of robots, and we weren't able to reproduce that issue. If you do have concerns or if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at support@digitaldreamlabs.com. We are still actively investigating that. However, again, we haven't duplicated that issue. And so there was a separate software fix where the animation was displaying incorrectly. We are issuing a patch for that here shortly, and we expect that to be a pretty smooth. There are a couple of things for Escape Pod. We do have some plans to route to Escape Pod for and initialize support for the 2.0 software, as well as we're still working on app compatibility for the Escape Pod. So that's been a little bit of a challenge because all of the, a lot of the development team is also involved with the manufacturing, and getting kind of the base firmware for the robots. Now that that's done, we'll be able to reattack the Escape Pod a little bit. And our ultimate goal is to get the app fully compatible with the Escape Pod and provide a little bit more of a smooth experience for onboarding robots to the Escape Pod as well. We'll also be updating the Escape Pod extension engine. We know that the Escape Pod extension engine is something that has a lot of potential, but we still need a little bit more documentation behind that, and we want to make sure that it's compatible with the latest Escape Pod updates and iterations. So we'll be addressing that here shortly, but a lot of our focuses and efforts have been on the base robotic firmware, as well as some of the cloud stacks to make some changes on that side as well. We did launch recently a new documentation site for Oscar. You guys have previously had it's at the same link, oscar.ddl.io, but we had previously had some media, and I shared a little bit of a preview in the last State of Robotics, but that's since been launched and is ready for your consumption. So the great thing about that new documentation side is it's going to allow much faster changes. Previously, with the way that the previous documentation was built, it actually took 2 or 3 team members to make edits, make changes, and then deploy that documentation. Now it's very streamlined. We can make inline changes based upon feedback from users and do so very, very quickly. So it's a lot more streamlined on our end. We're going to continue exploring other ways to streamline our documentation, get into really comprehensive and cohesive locations for you guys. But that is just a portion of our efforts that have gone on in the last quarter.
Awesome.
And with that, sorry, I'll turn it back over to you. Thanks for your time.
No, I appreciate it. I think as we've discovered that there is a lot going on, and we're all in this together. So thanks again for the clarification. There, I see a lot of questions coming through. So next up, once again to re-highlight, your Vector 2.0 was built for you. So it is waiting for those pre-order questions out there. And as part of the rollout process, you will start to receive emails from our system from the team, I should say, once they get mailed to you with the US, Canada rollout first, because that's where the certification was approved first, and then additional regions as they become available. So we added on to the previous chart, as you can see, to add a little bit more definity or clarification, I should say, to where that stands. When bots were previously placed, it was some time ago. We acknowledge that. Costs have gone up. We acknowledge that. We are working as a team to cut costs all over the place and facilitate shipping in the most expeditious manner. So thank you for your patience. It's exciting to see these go through. I was personally loaned a bot, so I don't even have my own Vector 2.0 bot yet, but I've been playing with one, and it's a lot of fun, and I look forward to share those videos with you. So you are not alone, and for those of you that have many bots, I envy you. I don't know what I would do with all those, but it's a really cool thing. So I'm not going to beat a dead horse here. Let's go ahead and move on forward. And sure, go ahead.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just going to say it is actually really exciting. I got my robot last week, and I haven't had a chance to unbox him because I wanted to do that on video. But I did have him available if anyone wants to see kind of what at least the external packaging looks like. But I have him back here in my office.
Well, and one thing I want to mention is that these guys are not getting any preferential treatment, right? Just because they work for DDL doesn't mean they're getting free robots. Robbie purchased his, Steve purchased his, and they got it in the order in which they received it. Now, we have been tongue-in-cheek been doing some videos and things like that. Believe me, we are going in the order in which the orders were received. So everyone is getting their robot in the fairest process possible, which we think is, depending on your order number, that's the way in which we are filling the orders. So just wanted to make that clear. We are for sure focusing on the pre-orders first. There is a backlog, we call it. So the backlog are people who have expressed interest in purchasing Vector. We are not really doing as much pre-orders as we would like. I just simply would like to get away from doing pre-orders and eventually just say, like, yeah, you buy your robot and you get it a couple weeks later, the end. So we're pushing towards that inevitability. But being a small company, we have to be very, very careful on how we are moving forward and progressing and taking on orders. So thank you for everyone's patience with the pre-orders. We are respecting you guys for supporting us all this time. You are being prioritized. And everyone else, if you see an influencer out there or someone like that who's playing with our robot, it is on loan. They are not getting a free gimme. And if they are doing something out there, for the most part, a lot of these influencers are just, they love Vector and just want to promote the happiness he brings people. So again, this is something I've been wanting to make very clear, is that we are prioritizing our customers first, and everyone else, including the employees, comes second, including myself. I actually, the one robot I have is on loan as well and is being circulated to basically our contacts out there in the, let's call it, press, and focusing more on the next steps for DDL and what we have in store, not only for our customers, but for investors in general. So again, wanted to state that. Again, beating a dead horse, but felt like I needed to say something.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jacob. I'm glad to kind of share a highlight video of our manufacturing plant. Many of you out there in the Vectorverse have kind of requested a tour of what it's like to have an experience from our factory floor and kind of see some of our unsung heroes that are assembling your bots and also making sure that they arrive in the best possible quality and care along the way. So here's a nice short little video from our team and our extended team, Ronnie Liu out in Taiwan, who has been very, very kind and gracious, working multiple days in a row, 12-hour difference in time to make sure that this was not only achievable, but also that we could finally share it with you. So without further ado, I'd like to showcase our wonderful manufacturing tour of Vector. Here you can see them going through our playpen testing, as well as assigning ESN numbers and etching those live on our robots. With that, we also do a serial count and video count of each one being done so we can assure quality and clarity on those ESN. Finally, we pass over to our inspection team while they test on charging. Then after that, we kind of move forward a bit to adding our certification stickers to every robot, and then making sure that they are packed safely and securely in each box. After we are at that processing point, we throw a nice, wonderful Vector sleeve on top so you can have that incredible unboxing experience soon and experience exactly what it's like to open it up for the very first time. Finally, those are shrunk wrapped with our shrink wrapping machine, and then boxed up and ready to be put on a pallet to be delivered to you in your regional distribution facility. Each and every one of our partners that you see in this video has been working as well, tireless hours to make sure that these orders are fulfilled. So we do want to also thank them very much for all their hard work, and all of you out there for the incredible amount of patience you've had while we reach fulfillment. Thank you so much, and thank you for enjoying this nice little video.
Yeah, what I'll want to share here, and they've said it's okay to share this information. So like Steve mentioned, Ronnie Lou, our guy on the ground over there, has been fantastic. Our manufacturer, they're called Jetway, their subsidiary. If you want to take a look at them, they're on the Taiwan Stock Exchange. 6161 is their ticker number for those of you who are interested. And then our 3PL, so the people handling the logistics and our partnership over there, they are called ProTempo, and they will be handling warehousing, pick and pack, and distribution and drop ship. So thank you to all of our partners in making this a reality and bringing this whole enormous challenge to fruition.
Touche. All right. A few questions out there. Let's go ahead and get this started. Please go ahead and continue to message any Q&A questions you have to us. As a team, we'll work to address them either during this session now and or later in a follow-up email notifying everyone of the posting when it's available next week. Excellent.
Yeah, so Todd, why don't you like pick some? We have time, right? Let's.
Yeah, we have some time. Let's do it.
The calendar. Yeah, I don't have a meeting till 2, so let's
Oh.
let's take this moment to like talk to our people and fill them in on what's going on. So why don't you pick some questions and we'll answer it, and then Robbie and Steve, you guys want to bang out some text answers to some of the questions rolling in. Let's do this.
All right. First question up covers multiple products from Jonathan Hale. Thank you. Will you be selling spare overdrive Cozmo vector parts separate than buying the whole repair? The shipping is quite expensive. So, Rob, do you come on, go ahead and talk about the repair process or what that may entail?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are certain items that we will and can sell that are going to be separate from the actual repair process. The repair process for in-depth repairs, such as screen repairs for the robots or full refurbishments for the overdrive cars, require soldering, which is not a skill set that everybody has. And so we generally will take those units in and get those soldering, that soldering and those repairs completed. And we prefer to do that inside the office. There are going to be some cases, especially if you live internationally, where shipping may be a bit of a challenge. We are eventually planning to open authorized repair centers outside of the United States. However, that is an ongoing effort. As far as the parts and things like that we can ship internationally and sell directly on our website, we already offer replacement Cozmo cubes. We will soon have vector cubes. We also offer for the overdrive cars, we have tires that you can replace yourself, and eventually for Vector and Cozmo we should have self-replacement battery kits. Those kits will have the battery itself and maybe a couple of other parts to help you change out the battery yourself, because we do have, and this is one of the best things about the new robots, is that they have a user serviceable battery where we use a small connector versus soldering points, which really helps us with longevity of the hardware and prevents you guys from having to send it in for repair after the battery is fully exhausted, since these go through a lot of charge cycles. So those are a couple things that we'll be able to ship directly to you, rather than having the robot or car come into our office for repair. But that is subject to change, and we may be able to offer more parts as well.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Robbie. Here's a cool question. We recently moved from France to San Diego and are wondering if if anything will be different about robots shipped to Europe. Well, welcome to the US. And Jacob, are there any major differences between the bots that are shipped from Europe versus the US and Canada?
No, there's going to be a zero difference, right? Each robot's going to go through their set of you name it, certifications, etc., with the exception of the plug. But if everybody remembers, you just have the USB cord inside the charger, and that's going to adapt to whatever brick, let's call it, whatever brick outlet you have. So there's really essentially going to be no difference between any of these units that are being sent out.
Thank you. Here's an interesting topic. It came through from Chip. The Vector escape pod was moving Vector off DDL server and now putting escape pod. Apparently, your bot setup is losing functionality and provide the essential services during the no subscription service. What I'd recommend doing, and this is kind of just to highlight this, I'm not sure if you have yet, so I'm speaking off the cuff, but let's go ahead and reach out to support to address the Vector escape pod issue if you have not already done so. And if you have done, I'm sure Robbie will circle back with you on that. We look forward to resolving that. So there are a lot of questions previously submitted for Butter Robot, a plethora of questions. Hopefully we're able to answer them and then reiterate that we'll initiate confirmations there. So why is my Cozmo taking so long to be delivered? I ordered it in January 2022, paid full price, and it was a very special gift for your grandson. First of all, thank you for investing your resources into your grandson's future and education. And reiterating, of course, chip delays and the global change, we are working still to do that. And that, of course, evolves with a majority of our bots. Let's see, Robbie, do you see any questions from the live stream that might differ from the previously submitted?
So there are a couple of questions that I did want to address. I actually wanted to add on to your mention of the escape pod as well. So I did want to, and this is something that we do try to outline both on the sales page as well as the documentation for assembly of the escape pod. There are some limitations with the escape pod when it comes to bringing in information from outside sources. So right now, the escape pod does not provide information such as weather or the information from the knowledge graph, and that's a limitation that we're hopefully eventually overcoming. However, right now, as it is, it's a situation to where our cloud stack hosts and supports a lot of those types of features, and the driving force behind the escape pod is to be able to have all the features that are available, like directly inside of the robot, available on the escape pod. There may be options for implementing something like a knowledge graph or other information pull-ins. This is something that the escape pod extension engine allows you to do, but going back to where, I had talked about the escape pod extension engine, that's something that we do want to address is the ability to pull in information from outside sources and do so in a convenient, intuitive way. So that's something that we're going to continue building on here in the future as well.
Awesome, thank you for that. All right, I'll jump in real quick. Do you plan on having over-the-air update for the older models? If you are talking about the older Vector models or previous, the answer is yes. All Vectors will have the opportunity to update to the latest software. Surprise. Upon release. And I'll let Jacob maybe speak a little bit more to where we stand with that. And it's actually an exciting development over here.
Oh, which release are we talking about?
Updating the older models to the latest Vector 2.0 release when available.
Right. So the idea, and the credit goes to Grant, our CTO, who is I would say, total savant, rock star, etc., when it comes to all things related to robotics or software. It's going to be across the board. Everything's going to be upgraded to 2.0 just for the sake of simplicity. That is going to be the platform rolling forward. And we don't know to what extent the new updates will reach. To a certain point, we have updated a lot of the hardware. where does the hardware and software interact, and where do we eventually fall off as far as firmware updates. But for now, the idea is 2.0 across the board, one quote unquote operating system to unite everything and to build from that moving forward.
Awesome. Well, to jump in here as well, I see a few of you are asking about initial pre-order windows and how those are being taken care of as far as satisfying them for US and Canada certification. To kind of bring our orders to each one of our pre-order customers faster, we have initiated an airlift process for our first round of initial shipments that will kind of split up our orders to make sure that we can satisfy them even faster to you. Now, what does that mean? That means that instead of having to wait approximately about 3 months for something to come over via sea, we are making sure that we anticipate that wait time by having your bots over here lifted by air, which takes roughly only about a few weeks. So compared to having them sent over via sea, this is a much safer route for us to get them out to you as fast as humanly possible and to eventually all pre-order customers as fast as humanly possible. For those of you that are in the UK, EU, and AU, we will actually be taking those directly from our manufacturer and with our distribution partner and placing them in your regional distribution areas. So that way, once certification is completely granted in each one of your regions, your robots will ship out to you directly as fast as humanly possible. Again, we are trying to satisfy each one of our pre-orders and make sure that we handle our long lead time. So thank you again for your patience while we continue delivery.
Yeah, just to illustrate it, if we go by cargo, ocean vessel, you're looking at 30 to 45 days across the ocean. Then you have the import, export, paperwork, things like that. So by ocean, sometimes things, especially right now, because there's a lot of congestion in these ports, shipping can take as long as 2 months now. And by the time it goes to the pick and pack facility, and by the time it's drop shipped to your door, you're looking at maybe even a couple more weeks there. So like Steve mentioned, we throw this in the air and we get it on an airplane. Yeah, it's more expensive, but we get it to you faster, make up for at least a little bit of lost time, and then get your order in your hands ASAP. And that cuts it down by several weeks, if not by a month or two. So that's what we're doing with the pre-order people in order to kind of catch up. All other orders moving forward, we're going to get back into the cadence of, doing a run, a substantial run of vectors, then putting them in a container, and then getting them distributed, and getting into a rhythm now that we're kind of built up and we have this foundation. But that'll be coming in the months ahead. In the meantime, we are taking to the air like the ride of the Valkyries.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. For the questions we weren't able to address right away, the team will circle back and send a follow-up email relaying when this is posted, as well as this. So the last few ones, David, let's see, where's the delivery date for the SDK? And the SDKs are out and they're active, I believe. Robbie, can you quote any insight on that?
Yes, I believe Dave is interested in the Cozmo 2.0 SDK. We are still working on that because there are a lot of hardware changes. It's going to be we're going to have to refactor the SDK to a point. However, the great thing is that the hardware is known. Because the hardware will be very similar from Cozmo to Vector in the 2.0 generation of robots, realistically, the work on that is going to be regarding primarily the emotions, the expressions, and the animations and sounds that go into the Cozmo personality. So we are going to be working on the SDK. That is going to be a focus for us, and that's something that I know is very important to a lot of the collegiate level folks as well as other educators. So it is going to be a point of focus. I don't have a direct release date right now, but that is something that we are definitely working on.
Thank you for that. Awesome. For all like Vector shipments, Cozmo shipments, and any additional shipments, they will go out in the order in which they're received in the region when certification. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. On behalf of this extended team here, both in the U.S. and abroad, we appreciate your patience, your understanding, and your continued support. We'll be posting this webinar as well as additional questions or answers to some of your questions over the early next week or the next few days. So thanks again and be well.
Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks for joining us.